Have you ever wanted to get better at kind of going up and down the neck and being able to quickly recognize where some of those notes are that you need to just quickly land on? Well, that's what this lesson's all about. We're calling this the root note blues. The whole point of this lesson is so that you can learn to play a rhythm guitar shuffle and then start to kind of get your hand up in this, 12th, 10th, and 5th positions. Eventually, we're going to fill that in with like scales and stuff in those same positions. And then stuff like that, The first step is kind of getting your hand in that position. At the end, we'll do a slow playthrough with the metronome so you guys can try to play along. First thing you gotta know, we're just playing a straight 12-bar blues in the key of A. One measure of the shuffle sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? We're basically playing that for 4 measures in a row with the beginning of each measure being kind of coming up the neck and hitting the root note. Same thing for the D chord and the E chord. We're anticipating the chord coming up. We're not playing over it. We're practicing getting our hand in that position. So that means right before the D chord, you're gonna come up here and play the 10th fret. Okay, this is the note D on the first string. Okay, same thing on the E chord. When we get to the E chord, you're just gonna come up and play 12th fret, okay? That's the note E. The main things to take away here is that you get to that position actually before the chord starts. And that's the same thing when we're playing riffs later. You want... Right? When we play a riff, we're still gonna place it in the same spot. We're anticipating the chord change. So it sounds like this. 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that gets us up to that D chord. And notice, again, on the beat 4, the measure before we're about to change to the chord, that's when we hit the root note, okay? It helps the listener anticipate the chord that's coming up. Another thing about kind of going back and forth between the note, okay, and the shuffle part. The more that you stay on this note, so let's say we wanted to stay on this note longer, like for future cases when we're going to play a longer riff. What we'd have to do is the longer that this note is held, the more we have to take away from the shuffle. So if we're going to hold this note longer, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and. Okay, you get the idea. The longer you're holding up here, the more you have to take away from this part. Eventually make sure that you can play this with the metronome and that you're not skipping any beats. So measure 4, we're still playing on A. We're doing the shuffle. 1 and 2 and 3 and anticipating D. Okay, and then we shuffle on D. Back to the A. Okay, now right before measure 9, measure 8 is going to anticipate the E chord change. That means that we're going to come up here and play, you guessed it, the note E on the 12th fret. Okay, so I just played the rest of the song for you guys. The main idea is make sure you follow that 12-bar blues, make sure you're anticipating the chord change by playing that root note beat 4 before the chords will change. Let's talk about that last little turnaround phrase that we did. I made this one really simple for you guys so that you can just have a variation using some simple chords that you probably already know. Now this is just a simple power chord, and all we're doing is we're walking into the E chord from the D. The last measure is going to sound like this, and we're going to, again, On the and of 4, we're going to play this note to anticipate the first measure when we start the song over again. So again, this is what it sounds like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and so on, okay? That's the beginning of the song. So those are kind of all the parts, just the kind of slow walkthrough. What's next is let's do that slow play through with the metronome so you guys can try to play along. So I'm just going to play it once, and then I'll repeat the first measure again just so you guys can feel the loop when you kind of try to loop this song over and over again. Remember, guys, when you practice this, try to make sure that you're looping it and playing it several times in a row, and make sure that you're playing this with a metronome, because this is one of those things where it's easy to start to skip beats. It's easy to kind of start to, miss out and not keep that rhythm up. But that's really one of the main points of this lesson, is making sure that you can get your hand up into these positions and then back down to do the shuffle in time. Okay, so let's check this out. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's the loop, okay? So remember, guys, here, if you have to take some of the shuffle away to make it back in time, that is okay. Please do that, but make sure that you're doing it with the metronome and you're not actually skipping beats. Let me kind of demonstrate what I mean by that. A lot of people will play it like this. They'll start playing it and then they'll skip a bunch of beats. It'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, then they'll go. Okay, that's what you're trying to avoid. See all the empty space in there? What you want to do is kind of have that song be playing in your head continuously, kind of with the metronome, so that if you mess up, right, you can get back on track. Okay, and if you can play it in your head, okay. So if you're playing it in your head, if you get off track, you'll kind of know where you're supposed to be. And that kind of skill really comes from just playing it a lot with the metronome and making sure you're not skipping beats. So make sure you keep slowing it down until you can do it with the metronome without skipping beats, okay? Hope you had fun learning this one. Remember, this is a stepping stone into getting into more full... kind of like more full riffs like that. The first step is making sure you get your hand in the right position. That's it for this one, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.